Hi there, everyone. Welcome to day 2, our Facebook Live. I'm actually communing. Actually, do you guys want to take yourself off mute for a second and say hi to everybody out there? This is a program called Wings that is basically the evolution of flight school. It's the alumni program. These people are very powerful. So can you guys say hi to everybody out there in Facebook land? Thanks, you guys. So you guys, these guys have spent a year immersing, and they have catalyzed the discussion for today. I know that the communion with them today is the reason why we're going to talk about what we're going to talk about. This is a really powerful distinction that you can rest assured that in Wings we're going to talk about even more deeply as we're actually in the middle of a program today. So here is the concept. It's about going direct with consciousness, but what it means, like who we are and why we're here. So if everyone can breathe, you might want to close your eyes. Just feel what I'm about to share, because what I'm about to share is like a paradigm shift for who you think you are. If we're going to thrive and be free, there's a humility that comes from understanding who we are. And hi, Annette. And that who we are, the physics of it. So many of you have heard this before, and it doesn't matter. We're going to say it again. We're going to go deeper. So you got to be open to going really deep here. Your body is simply a conduit for 99% of you. And I'm putting it in quotes because you are a conglomerate of experiences from other lifetimes where you accumulated skill sets and natural propensities. You are this energetic personality with skill sets and propensities and gifts that you've developed over lifetimes. Consciousness creation has an awareness of all those gifts and of all those yearnings and desires that have been launched into your future from not just this lifetime and the inspiration from this lifetime and also the contrast of the hardships that you've had, but in the dimensions of the future, energy has already been created, and your future trajectory has already been set in motion. It already exists. Why do we even have a body? Couldn't we just live out those future trajectories? Well, no, those future trajectories were meant to be experienced. We are creation, living in human form, because we have 5 physical senses that creation thought it'd be really cool to create in 3D with that 99% of us that isn't 3D, that actually is metaphysical, magical, or alchemical, that has the capacity to tap into the unmanifested aspects that can be made manifest in 3D. That's what a creator is. So you're this alchemical, amazing being who's launched incredible manifestations into a future reality, and your job is to catch up. It's to catch up to the ride, the magnificent ride that you were sent to go on based on everything you had desires from in your other lives and in this life. But it gets better. Okay. So this is what going direct is. How do you go on that ride? How does a physical being whose 99% is pouring through this physical body, this 99% that's metaphysical, that's creator consciousness, pouring through a vehicle that's an excuse to have a life in a body on a planet, to create upon creation. How does that being actually experience all of creation in a three-dimensional lifetime? And what's the big deal? Well, we were born to live out, and hi, Jessica. We were born to actually take the contrast that we're living, the struggle, and allow it to inspire us to ideas that would make life simpler, more expansive. Sometimes it's not even contrast. Sometimes we're just inspired by a future. We don't even know where that vision came from. And oftentimes it came from other lifetimes where you set something into motion and you were laxed enough to get the vision of what's already been set in motion. So we run around trying to manifest these dreams that we have, but in actuality, consciousness and that 99% of our alchemical nature is already put all the steps in place, and we're trying to do it ourselves by working so hard. But in actuality, we don't have to work hard because the steps are right in front of us and everything is happening for us. So one of the most important things we can start to do is actually take the time to come into the present moment and be present to what life is presenting us. Because it always is happening for us. But here's the juicy bit. Here's the part that you want to really line up with. This is the kind of the unicorn thinking. When you've been through hardship, maybe when you've been abused in your childhood, maybe when you've been hurt, maybe when, you grew up with your grandparents and all of a sudden your real parents, your biological parents came along and took you away from the first 5 years of your life and took you to a country you don't know, living with people and maybe even a brother you don't even know. Maybe you were raped by your father and you put it in the background and you just went on and didn't even think of it. Maybe you were, all of these things are, I've heard all of those stories. But what happens when you start to heal that? What happens when you start to get on with your life anyways? What happens when you start to create upon creation? I'll tell you what happens. You start to say to consciousness, I've become a much more compassionate being because of everything that's happened to me. I understand that none of those things need to stop me. I certainly am looking for the support of people that see me despite all my foibles and my protective mechanisms. And I choose to live freely anyways. And the instant you start to go on the journey of the future trajectories that you sent in motion. In other words, the instant that you start to live as your piece of the puzzle of heaven on earth, not only despite what's happened to you, but actually because of what's happened to you, and I'm going to explain why. So this for wings people, I want you to feel this so deeply. You start to embody the bridge. You start to contain the possibility of having an amazing life, not despite what happens to you, but taking the story of what happened to you or your family with you. And because you started in maybe some dubious circumstances or some difficult circumstances, those circumstances are the beginning of the bridge. And metaphysically, as you say yes to the miraculous life that you set in motion, you start to embody metaphysically the bridge of how you have an amazing life along with all of that. The beginning of the bridge is the catalyst and you become the metaphoric representative of someone who can have a great life, and you change the world for hundreds of thousands of people because you embody the bridge to the other side. And by the way, that's how the world changes. And that's why the slow track is truly to run around trying to fix everything and solely focus on fixing. Because when you focus on fixing, you're telling consciousness that you're not actually interested in living. You're interested in analyzing your fears so much that you actually never get on with living. If you had confidence in how to live, it would be so much easier. Because isn't that why we focus on the things that are struggles and hardships, and we try to heal them? Because we think we'll more easily get on with living. But actually, we're never actually learning how to live. When you focus more energy on learning how to live and thrive, you make it much easier to heal the things, because now you've got a trajectory of a thriving life, and now it becomes so much easier to heal the things that have been dogging you, that you've perceived are in the way. You'll actually find out that they weren't as in the way as you thought, which will make them much more simple to transcend. So that's day 2. Day 2 is you are the bridge for the healing in this world. And if you go on your journey of thriving, you embody that bridge, and whoever you meet, even if you don't talk about what you've healed or that you've gone on and been thriving anyways, even if you don't talk about it, the funny thing is, you don't have to talk about it. You're the embodiment of it. You actually be the codes for that. You emanate them. People pick up on them. And that's how metaphysically the world can change. That's how metaphysically it's possible to actually build bridges to a different world. So I hope that makes sense to you. Certainly make sure you guys, if you want to learn about brain bridges, you can go to thewideawakening.com and sign up for our first 3 days of awakening. And I love you. And next time we'll talk more about Yessence Technique. And thank you so much for joining us today. And if you just joined us, make sure you go back and listen. Pass it on. I know it's a different paradigm. Allow yourself to awaken. And I'm going to go back to my wings class because I have someone to talk to named Lisa. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Big, big, big smushy hugs. And have a great day.